Bonjour tout le monde. This is a very short, quick video for all of you who keeps asking me some repeated questions. So I thought let's just go ahead and make a video on this. How to reinforce the vocabulary. Now, vocabulary is something, guys, that cannot be just grasped and, imbibed into you overnight. It comes with the time. It comes with the constant process of learning and imbibing the words. Now, there were certain traditional methods that I learned over the period of time, that let's just go ahead and read newspapers daily and let's just read some magazines daily during my period of time, which is not the case in the AI generation anymore. So I will not give you those piece of advices. With the practice, what you are supposed to do, so I'll give you a very structured plan here. So once you start with your A1, no matter which tutor, group, personal, one-on-one you're starting with, so you got to start with the vocabulary from the day one. Ask your teacher, ma'am, how can I reinforce and build my vocabulary? Please have a dialogue with your coaches, guys, because I see a lot of students coming to me at the B1 with like zero vocabulary and minus pronunciation. So whomsoever you're learning from, please have some curiosity. Ask them, prick their brain, ma'am, how can I, learn the vocabulary? Because you cannot really you cannot really expect a miracle to happen on the day of the exam. So you got to build the vocabulary skills gradually. So I'll tell you how does this work. So once you start with A1, you gotta just have your notes, or maybe a Google doc maintain, or maybe an Excel, whatever way you want, or maybe the handwritten notes, because that works as well. So what I do with my students, I tell them, why don't you just go to visit the dollar store or Dollarama, which is next to you in Canada, or any other store in India or any other in your home country, and just buy some regular stationeries like lots and lots of post-its and maybe some charts, wherein why don't you just go ahead and put the everyday word which you learn during grammar. So maybe you're somebody who is learning French for someone who teaches a lots and lots of grammar and may not be focusing a lot more on speaking or listening. So why don't you just use those grammar words or sentences? For example, the first, let's say you learn today bonjour, como ça va, como allez-vous, and all of that. Just write them down, and that is also vocabulary. So this is a beginner level. Once you come to the intermediate level, let's say you're at the level of A2 plus, B1, then start reading something, and when you start reading, note down all the vocabulary. When I say reading something, I can share some content and material. You can put it in the comment. You can book on my consultation call, so that I can just help you with what sort of material you might need for TEF, and I'll be very happy to do that as well for you. You do not have to read anything and everything. That is a one piece of takeaway I want you to please take away from this video. I do see a lot of groups asking for this book, this vocabulary, that vocabulary. You don't have time to do all of that. You have to do TEF and French. You don't have to literally, do like literature. Maybe you want to do it once you clear TEF or TCF, but you don't have really time to do all of that right now. So be mindful. Just don't read anything and everything. Be selective in your process. Now, talking about the people who are at the advanced level, for you guys, why don't you leverage all the audios of the Prep My Future, or maybe the C1 level, DELF C1 or DELF B2 books, wherein you can just take those vocabulary and can imbibe them into your daily readings. You can also use, all of you from beginner to advanced level learners, you can also use Kindle. I do personally use Kindle a lot. This is not the sponsored video of Kindle. So I do use Kindle a lot, because that helps me to just read on the go. When you read more, by default, you will have the vocabulary imbibed in you. So another important mistake that I do not want you guys to do, that think that, okay, if I read 5 words today, 5 words tomorrow, 5 words maybe day after tomorrow, this way I'm going to build your vocabulary, and by the 30th day I would have these many words ready in my mind. No, this doesn't work like that. It's not that easy, guys. We are human beings. Our memory doesn't function this way. You gotta use those words and vocabulary in your speaking or writing to be able to imbibe in you. So The solution for this particular approach would be how to retain the vocabulary would be just read the content, let's say theme by theme. So for example, today or maybe this week or maybe for 10 days, I'm going to only read those articles, those materials which is about the ecology, environment, or maybe about the work, or maybe about the economy, or maybe about the politics or something. So grasp all the vocabulary, chunk it out in a way that you just make the chain of those words or maybe a story of those words, and then try and use it in front of your teacher, either in speaking or in the writing. Then and only then you would be able to grasp those vocabulary. Last, before I let you all go, tip for the TEF. TEF is not tough, guys. TEF is not impossible. TEF doesn't want you to have the entire French dictionary ready in your brain. That's not the ask of the exam. So TEF is simple in terms of vocabulary. So what you got to do, you got to just understand what exactly and how much exactly you got to learn for the vocabulary. For example, my teacher, when I was learning French, she gave me 6,500 words and she said, why don't you just learn this and you'll clear the TEF? And I was like crazy, started doing the 6,500 words, which was not the great technique because I forgot all. I kind of did not use them. After 1500, I was tired and I just gave up. So you do not adapt to such practices, do not use such approaches. Rather be mindful of the fact that you have limited time. So just choose the right amount of vocabulary that you're going to need for the speaking and for the writing, and right amount of vocabulary that you're going to need for the reading and listening. And that's it, guys. That's it. You don't have to really take the world, or you don't really have to move the mountains for this. Not at all. Stay tuned. Follow for more. Subscribe to the channel. Au revoir.